Hey, this is Chris with the Hypercats Network, and I finally get to show off the finished Borderlands 2 energizing Bane submachine gun. This was the project I did for Anime Central 2013. It's got lights and sounds and some fun things. So some of the parts I used, this part here is off of a Nerf Recon. This bit here is Nerf Night Finder. This part here is Super Soaker Tornado Strike. And then the rest of the things are just bits of MDF and sheets and nuts and bolts. This is a airsoft sight. I think this part was off of the inside of a Stampede. It's just a block of wood. Different parts like that. So the Bane is a Hyperion gun. It's supposed to be an old, dirty, beat-up Hyperion gun. So it's got the crimson and silver color scheme like this. So you can still kind of tell that it is a Hyperion gun. But then I did some weathering and details. The tan colors was supposed to be more of a splatter. It's supposed to look like it's got dust splattered, you know, bits of mud and dust and caked up stuff on it. So it's a good size. I mean, you can see my hand there. It's a pretty big gun. But the important part was that I got it to do this, just like the real Bane. So it's got an audio chip in it, and it's got different files loaded on different buttons. And this is actually two buttons. One of the buttons is for pressing it down, and then the other button is for releasing it, so it plays two different sound effects. So that way I can have the length of the firing be any length I want, and then still play the end sound. And then I also have so I think there's 5 sound effects total, but that gives you, you know, the 2 reloads and the swapping weapons and then the gun. And this is actually a different power supply that I had to add, and I made it look like a TDR grenade mod. A little bit of carbon fiber there. It's a battery pack. Actually, it's a project box. It's called a project box. It's 6x3x2 Radio Shack project box, and this has more C batteries in it, and this powers the amplifier. There's an amp in here, and the reason I needed that was because that was the sound of Bane. That's how loud it was without the amp, and then this is how loud it is with the amp. So it is considerably louder, and in order to do that I needed a larger power supply for that. So I had to add this as an external power supply. In the future I'll probably put a plug here so I can unplug it, but right now this is, you know, hardwired, but then it's got a belt clip on it so I can clip this on my belt, and it looks like a grenade. Other things, this build took me probably 2 weeks total. Sourcing the parts was probably the hardest part, and then figuring out how to get everything wired into it. The shell was actually pretty easy to get everything into. I tried a couple different amps, and I found one I liked that actually had like a 2x3 speaker. So the speaker's right here. It's an oval shaped speaker. And then I cut grills in here and glued the mesh in, so the sound's coming out of this part. And then it's got some LEDs. I would have liked to put other LEDs in it. I might later, you know, do things like cut this off and put LED strips in there. But that's about it. I had a good time building this one, and I will probably play around with the chips some more. I have a Psycho mask that I wanted to put some Psycho sound effects into. But we took it to Anime Central, and with all the people there and the roaring and the crowds and everything, it's really, really hard to hear even when it's this loud. So I was able to show it off a bit outside and in some quieter areas, but if you're planning on going to a convention where it's, really loud and you're going to be walking around a convention hall, I wouldn't recommend putting sound effects in it, because this is a lot of work to get something that most people aren't going to be able to even hear. Unless I can find a smaller amp. But other than that, that's about it, I think. So if you have any other questions or comments, put them on YouTube, or like us on Facebook, the Hypercats Network, or go to hypercats.net. There will be pictures. I've got pictures of the rest of my costume and the Bane with the Borderlands group. So thanks for watching.